Hi, everyone. Happy Monday. It's a beautiful day today. Bit hot for everyone, but it's a good one. Thank you all for being here. We are coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans in Louisiana at the United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM. We are on Roku, YouTube, Facebook, and many other types of uh, radio frequencies. We are broadcast around the world, and we know we have an audience out there, and we're lovely to have you all with us. Our guest tonight is from Australia, which is really kind of cool because she's in tomorrow already. And I want you all to have a really good show tonight. I hope you do. And I know we will. And join up. Preston, have it.
Thank you, Dolly. Yeah, we had slight technical difficulties, but we think we got them resolved and we were able to start on time. So thank you all for joining us on episode 64 of The Light Gate. When I'm 64. Gosh, I can't believe that's happened already. Pretty excited about tonight's show. Our guest, we've never had her on before. She deserves to be really well known. Her story is amazing, and we'll get to her real quick, I promise. But I just got to say hi to all you guys, because again, it's for you that we do the show. Oh yeah, let me introduce myself for those of you who are here for the first time. I'm Preston Denon. I'm your host. My lovely co-host is, of course, Dolly Saffron. She's a contactee. I wrote a book about her called Symmetry. We're working on Symmetry 2, by the way. I've had my own experiences, as some of you may know, and written a bunch of books. But yeah, really, we'll be talking about the guest mostly. This is not about us. This is about the guest and all of you guys. So let me say hi to all you wonderful people here in chat who are already saying wonderful things, such as Brian Morgan. Let me pull down this banner. It's distracting me. Okay. Okay. Hi, Brian. Thanks for joining us. And who else do we got here? We got Kelly Servo and Deb Koch. Love listening to them. Oh, so nice of you. And Blind Psychonaut. Let me see, the tridactyl humanoids. Oh, the alien mummies. Controversial. I know Dolly has some things to say about that. So if you want to ask, we pop it in questions. But be ready. Okay, who else do we have here? Janice Connett. She welcomes our guest. Yay.
Hi, Janice.
Sunny Burnett and Hector Gonzalez from Queens. Oh, let me just pop back to Sunny. Always a bright spot of Mondays. Thank you. That's really kind of you. Mondays can be kind of glum. So glad to brighten it up a little bit. Gaetano Zorzi. Greetings from Reno, Nevada. Very cool. All right. Who else do we got going on here? UFO, gods, and extraterrestrials. Oh, that's us. Okay, what am I doing? Okay, Z-Sun Dragon. Hello, all. And Star Orchid. Loved the replay from last week. Oh, good. I'm glad. We had a fun show last week. Louis Z from New Jersey and Peak from Las Vegas. Oh, Sandra made it. Hi, Sandra.
Hey, Sandra.
Okay. Who else? Oh, namaste. Thank you, namaste. I don't know what we would do without you. You're just the greatest. So thank you for your unbelievable goodwill and generosity. You're just the bestest. So thank you. All right. Let's see, who else do we got here? Making Bacon, all the way from Alberta, Canada. Very cool. Josephine McKinnon, much love from Oz. Nice. I'm so glad that we can reach all these other countries. That's very cool. Real Badger, and hi, it's Alicia, and Kamikaze from Nolans, I'm guessing.
Okay.
Nolans, right?
I think so.
Ryan Gooden from Rockford, Illinois. That's my home state. Hi, Ryan. We have XICJ. Very cool. And Brenda Whelan and Bim Jim. British Columbia is in the hood. Awesome. Untalks TV, 2 a.m. in Poland.
Dzień dobry, jak się masz?
I don't know what that means. I can say good girl in Czechoslovakian.
How are you in Polish? Yeah.
Hezka holka. That's good girl. Czechoslovakian.
Right.
That's about it I know. European. Okay, let's see. Josephine McKinnon, I think we already said hi to you, but if not, hello again. Becky Duncan, hello from Virginia.
Ooh, cool. I'm going to be there next month in West Virginia.
Hey, baby, it's me. Thank you kindly, guys. To be fair, it's frickin' roasting here in sunny Scotland.
Whoa.
It's beautiful, though, I bet. Okay, Susan Lawrence, hello. And Derek Mulligan from Dublin, Ireland. Look at that. One of these days, I'm going to get to Ireland and Scotland and England.
Yes.
Miss Mary all the way from Toronto, and Sector 31 is joining us. Ow! So is the cat. Okay. Lynn LR says hello, and Bronklander RC, and I'm about to get in trouble if we don't start because it's already 15 minutes in. Can y'all give a shout out to my daughter, Journey Lynn? She turned 5 today.
Oh, happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Journey Lynn. Congratulations.
That's awesome. 5 is a good
old.
5 is big. Well, you got the whole world in front of you. Oh my, it's your lollipop, literally. Yay. Okay.
Swervin from Manitoba, and Skate DD, and Z Sun Dragon, and Kamikaze, and Michael Kennedy just popped in.
Michael!
Scarlet
Okay,
Fire. And
Kylie, I'm throwing my food around. Okay.
Channel Warhorse, and I best still get going. Just a few more, Dolly, if you'll let me.
Okay.
Tennessee, Kentucky. Just a few.
Cool place. Okay.
Sun Dragon from New Brunswick, Canada. And
Very
CT
nice.
Guy, and Mikey G, and Il Gato, and Gizmo, and gosh, we've got a nice big group, you guys. Thank you so much. Agent Pepsi, and Catherine Brooke, and well, let's just get started before I do get in trouble. I'm just going to get in trouble. You can punish me. Wooed you, Writer's Jig, and all right, let's go. Let me just pop up the banner for our guest and her bio, which is not. Oh, there it is. So yeah, I'm super excited, you guys. Episode 64. We're welcoming Rowan Bow. She's a contactee, an artist, an art therapist, a meditation instructor. She's been a contactee since age 8. So this is going to be really interesting. She's had a lifetime of unusual experiences, including, of course, extraterrestrial, paranormal, and I know past life recall because I heard a snippet of that. She's seen different kinds of beings, quite a few troll-like beings. She's been on board a UFO with blonde Nordic beings. She sent us this beautiful drawing of that, which I hope to put up. Has actually piloted UFOs. Dolly, this is going to be so interesting because, of course, Dolly has had that experience. She's experienced some phantom pregnancies. This is part of the contactee phenomena. We'll probably talk about that. She's seen UFOs in 3 different countries. They're following her around. This is something that happens to contactees. She is a keen disclosure advocate and very enthusiastic about connecting fellow UFO contactees. She's appeared on many podcasts and radio shows, of course, and helped to create her own Facebook page and radio podcast where she offers support for people coming to terms with their experiences. And there's a bunch of links in the show description, so if you want to learn more, you certainly can, but let's waste no more time and bring on our lovely guest. There she is. Hi, hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
So excited to have you on tonight.
Thanks so much. You guys have just been in my world, and you're superheroes to me. So this is just mind-blowing to be able to be on your program. Little old me, that's how I feel. Little old me, there's nothing, next minute I get this amazing introduction. Thank you so much, Anna and Dolly.
Hey, you're welcome.
And
I feel
just so
the
you know,
same way.
we're little people lawyer. That's it. Family. It's okay.
Oh my gosh,
Thanks.
wait, I have to pop up Bob Thorson, a super sticker. Thank you, Bob. You guys, this means a lot.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's super generous of you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm so excited to have you on, Ro. I've seen a few of your podcasts, and
Thank you.
I know you talked to Dolly for a while. I know you've had some really amazing experiences. I went through your Facebook stuff, and man, oh man, I'm excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, actually, you and Dolly, you probably don't know. Maybe you do. Dolly was the first person who I'd heard had as many experiences as me before you even wrote the book, Preston. You did a podcast with her, and I just was like, oh my gosh, finally somebody has had the similar experiences as I have, because I had really met nobody else over here. And I just had no one to connect with. So eventually I did connect with Dolly, and we've got a bit of a heart connection, I suppose, as well. And yeah, so Preston and Dolly, I know you sent me your book and I loved it. Obviously, I'm waiting for the second book, so I'm really excited about that.
Well, very cool. Yeah, I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of people having all kinds of experiences, but some just don't have the courage to come forward, which I totally understand. I mean, I totally get it. Because,
It's very
you know.
scary. It's very easy to feel judged. People don't, unless somebody's been in that experience before, they can't understand the experience. And that's why it's wonderful to be able to connect with people who understand the experiences.
Right.
And hopefully that can help. I can help them as well. Just
Yeah, the more we talk about it,
understand
the more we
what's
bring it
happening.
up. It brings it out.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
you know?
And I know a lot of people in chat, I know for a fact, some of them had experiences, but I suspect most. And that's why we all come together. There's a lot of people searching for
Yeah.
answers, just wanting to belong, because it is a somewhat hostile environment, and it is getting much better. I think partly to the work you do, Ro, and all of us are doing.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the first thing I say to anyone who questions anything is the UFO phenomena is being disclosed by the US government. Need I say more? And as soon as that happened, that just made me go, right, well, it's time that I can start talking about my experiences then, because if the authorities are disclosing it, then why shouldn't we all?
Right.
Exactly. I mean, honestly, those who are still skeptical just haven't done their homework. They really haven't. The evidence is there. So
Exactly.
I think it's a new era. We're still got the cover up, of course. It's still in place. Our governments have not told everything they know. I don't think they ever will. But at some point, the truth wins. It always does. So I think we're on the right side.
And all of us, Dolly and everyone else who has had direct contact with the ET, we shouldn't be silenced anymore. We should be able to say our experience.
I agree. They don't put experiencers up when they have these big governmental sit downs and talk about. We're the last people they want to talk to, and
Yeah, I've noticed
directing a narrative that isn't exactly the way it is, and they have their own little club, and it is evident to me that they're driving a narrative, and it has nothing to do with reality sometimes, and I would call them out on that. I know that Stephen Greer's out there trying to get contactees, but he's gone the way of the government narrative as well, and he's got all these people in government and hot, whistleblowers and stuff like that, but he doesn't really pull experiencers in, and that worries me so much for him. Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
And
our government has yet to even talk about the contact experience.
Right.
It's all about, well, there's lights out there. Maybe it's technological. But anyway, let's get
And
started with you, Ro.
Oh, sorry. Well, they've certainly got all of our information. As soon as you report something to MUFON, it just pops straight into their database, the government's database. So it's not like they don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
they do. So
Okay,
does
well-
RO and ATEP and everybody. Yeah.
So you've had a lifetime of experiences. I always like to start with our guests. How did this all roll out for you? Did you Were you born as a skeptic? I was skeptical until age 21. So it came as an incredible shock to me. But some people grow up with this, and I think you're probably in that group.
I want to hear
Well-
about when you were 8 years old. What was your first experience?
Definitely.
Okay.
And skeptic, I'm probably the world's greatest skeptic. I'm very pessimistic and pragmatic. I meant to say not pessimistic, probably both. But I like evidence-based anything as well. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, although I listen and read thousands of books to try and find something similar to my own experience. But my very first experience was when I was about 8 or 9, and it's very hard to describe because somehow I knew beings were coming into my room, although nobody understood or and how do you explain a being, from a different dimension or from a spaceship, or I don't even know. But they were the small little hooded dark creatures that Dolly, what did you call them, Dolly? You called them a special name.
Shadow people, shadow beings. Yeah.
They certainly weren't shadowy. They were real. And this was me being wide awake at night. I suppose that they got me to have sleep paralysis or something, but I actually wrote in my journals, I call them awakened dreams, which is a funny kind of term, but they would slow down time. And they would come, I can't remember how many there were. I sort of had to block it out just to be able to get on with life. And I was like, God, that was a really weird experience. Let's just pretend that never happened. But it did go on for, I'm probably guessing several months, until I realized when I'd stay in my sister's bedroom that they wouldn't come in then. And I was like, hello. So I made my parents get a bed in that bunks, basically. I forced them. I wasn't never going to sleep in that bedroom again, my own bedroom. And I was absolutely terrified of the dark. But the weird thing that they did do was I was awake all night for several nights a week, I'm going to say, and then having to go to school at age 8. I was exhausted. And anyway, as soon as I discovered that they wouldn't come into a different bedroom, I was straight away into that other bedroom. But the most scariest thing that they would do, and this is what blows my mind, because they're messing with reality, time. They'd make things either really, really slow or really, really fast. And I'm sure there were lights around as well, but that was like they were trying to push my fear levels. And I remember they would leave me laying in the bed with the room spinning around, like up from end top to bottom, spinning. And that makes no sense, because how does that even happen? I don't know. It wasn't me spinning. It was my bedroom spinning, top speed, like an MRI machine. And no wonder I was petrified of them. They were so scary. Whatever they were doing, I don't even know. And that, like I say, as soon as I went into my sister's room, those actual awakened experiences stopped. But I'm pretty sure, and I've been thinking about this for decades as well, that they would, whoever they are, was still accessing me, but they stopped my memories. So I remember going to sleep some nights and just instantly waking up in the morning and going, there was no night there. What happened there? So
I got a question. Wait. I got a question.
Yeah.
There's a drawing I did of a shadow.
Do you have any ear problems or problems with, like if you get in an airplane, do you get sick to your stomach, or on a boat?
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Okay. You're one of those rare people that when you become weightless, your inner ear loses its mind and your brain can't hold on to the picture and it's spinning. They weren't doing that to you. Your brain was doing it to you.
Oh my God. Well, that's
That
terrifying.
does happen to some contactees. I've seen it happen. Yeah. And it terrifies them. It's like, oh my God, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
So if you're in the sound of my voice and
Yeah.
you've had this happen to you, go have your inner ear checked, because it's not good. Trust me.
Oh.
Your brain,
I used to
at
have.
birth, your brain at birth flips the
I used to
picture.
have earaches.
Yeah.
I used
your
to always have
infections-
earaches when I was little. Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't doing that to you. Your brain was doing it. They were working with you weightless in weightless situations, especially when they're transporting you, and your whole brain just lost it. It's probably why they were trying to spare you a bit afterwards, because that's a big deal. That's a real big deal.
Yeah. It was horrible laying there and just the whole room spinning around. And I'd never even thought could be my inner ear. I just assumed that they were somehow messing with
Well, you're
reality,
physically
which then
going
makes me
with them.
question reality.
Yeah, well, you're physically going with them and they're putting you into a weightless environment where you don't know up, down, sideways, and your
That makes
brain
sense.
and your inner ear can't handle it, and they'll spin the picture,
Mm.
and that
So
was happening to you.
I'm
Okay.
curious, how tall were they? Were they short or tall?
They
or-
were short.
Mm,
I
that's what
actually
usually
did
hear.
talk to my sister recently, probably just end of last year, because I've hidden this for so long. I mean, I haven't really, but I've never really disclosed to my family everything. So I said to because my dad's passed away and my mum has dementia, so it drives me crazy. I can't go backwards to ask anybody anything if they remember these little beings. But I did say to my sister, do you remember me talking about those? And she said, yes, she does remember. Thank goodness. I feel like, oh God, thank God somebody from the past.
Wow.
Right.
My own sister remembers me talking about these beings. And also Mum at that time had the book Where the Wild Things Are, scariest book in the whole world, because I actually thought that was about these beings. I was like, finally, somebody's coming to tell us what's happening with whoever these little beings are. And there's a couple, I sent a picture of, I think I sent Whitley Strieber's Communion little black being, hooded beings, as well as
Where
the wild things are. Yeah, I know. But they didn't have horns, these things. But tell you what, they look just like those little ones, especially the one with the big mouths. Yeah, see?
Yeah.
It was like that was them. I know, it makes no sense. Who are these things? I don't know whether they're
short grays. They're a race. They're well, not. It's an ethnicity of the grays, and they're very short. They're like they're like that troll. Yeah.
For
exactly.
those who can't see, that's showing these short little blue-skinned beings with robes on, kind of wrinkly, flat faces.
Dark. Yeah, just that's all I know. Dark. I don't know whether they were brown or black. Something
actually
similar.
Blue. They look weird in the dark. Yeah.
Wow.
And anyway, so I couldn't even get through that book. I thought Mum was like, "Oh, it's just a kid's book," and I was like, I scream. I was so scared of that book, and I only got through it like 2 or 3 times. I couldn't even get to the end. I'd be in an absolute terror with that book, especially the one with the hair there. That sort of, because that looks like a bit like a hood. So that looked, that's how I remembered, because when I started to think about these things, I was like, but I remember that book, and I remember that horrific incident where Mum would try and read us this book. Pardon me. I'm like, this isn't a fun kid's book. I still can't really get through it today. I bought it for myself, and I was like, that's okay. I'll just leave it there just for posterity. I'm not going to read it.
Well, I have a question now because you're saying this. What was your experience with them? What were they doing?
I remember that they were doing 3 different things. So one of them was the spinning room that I thought. Another one was the time, and I've actually going to see Mary Rodwell. I've been communicating with her to try and tee up a time so I can try and go backwards in my mind, try and dig out what I've forcefully forgotten. And there was, so I always remembered that there were one of 3 things, and I always knew that they were going to come. So I don't know whether it was in my heart or they were telepathic with me. I can't remember them ever talking to me or having words.
Yeah.
But I always knew that they were coming. So somehow, maybe it was the sleep paralysis or something, and I would be, oh my God, they're coming tonight. Oh, so somehow I knew that.
Wow.
That's all I can remember. So, but like I said, whatever they were doing lasted all night. And I'll be like, oh my God, it's 5 o'clock in the morning or something, and try and get an hour's sleep before having to go to school and get woken up again. And
did you tell your parents
never
at all?
understood. Pardon me? Sorry.
Did you tell your parents, or did you tell anyone?
Well, yeah, but then no one understands. So that doesn't happen. It must have been a dream. And you're like, it was no dream. And so automatically you dismiss. They don't listen, and
Yeah, so they leave you with 2 kinds of reality. You know that something's happening at night, and then you have all this negativity and fear-based stuff on this side of it, and it crosses over into each one, and it's really hard to separate that out because we're taught to fear everything here. So you're going into an experience like that with the fear, and then and that expels you from your memory. Fear is the mind killer. It's really true. And boy, I hope Mary Rodwell helps you. I really do.
Thank you. I don't know how they found me, and that's what another thing. Why me? It was in Taree in New South Wales in Australia, like a little country town, and apparently that's a big hotspot. I didn't know until recently. I've become friends with Cheryl Gottschall over here and Barry, who I never remember his last name, for UFO Research Queensland, and Barry's had similar experiences to me, and I was like, oh, thank goodness somebody else he's actually written a book. So he's seen lots of the same craft. And Peter Curry from Sydney, I found him when I spoke at the Cardwell Festival last year, Cardwell UFO Festival. They've cancelled it this year due to lack of volunteers, unfortunately. But Peter Curry had seen the same 3 ET as I have. So I was like, oh my goodness, thankfully somebody else had seen the same 3. And a lady came up to me and said she's seen those little tiny.
Yeah, that's just Sarah's rendition of them, and there's the hood. Yeah, and that's really that's the closest I've ever seen a picture of one. That's exactly what they look like. And she nailed it. She's seen them as well, just so you know. Absolutely.
I interviewed some guy who saw this picture and he lost his mind. He's like, that's exactly what I saw when I was a little boy. They would come into my room. So
that
the little blue
Where
beam.
the Wild Things Are book really helped me to just hone in and just meditate and say, right.
Well, that's good. A lot more people see them than you know. That's why people do come up with renderings like that. There are more of us through time that have seen them, and they remember them somehow, and then they start drawing them, but they're making other stories with them, which is fun. I mean, we all have to express ourselves, but they're real. They exist. And they're one of the ET ethnicities. They're grays. They're one of the ethnicities of grays. You know how we have very short people on this planet? We have really tall people on this planet. We have troll-looking people on this planet. Things like that. It's like that amongst the graves. Their genetics go way out in different directions.
So how many times did that happen? Was that like a nightly thing, or?
I'm going to. Again, I can't remember exactly, but I'm sure it was for a few months, and it would probably happen a couple of times a week. So I can't remember exactly how many, but it was enough for me to go, God, 3 separate things are happening. So for me to work out that this was a regular occurrence and I didn't want this in my life.
Here's a question from chat, which is kind of interesting, from Josephine McKinnon. Has Rowan seen any orbs with this?
I have, in my experience, I have seen many orbs, and orbs I think are a funny kind of thing because they could be light or they could be a technical thing. So orbs is a very open. No one really knows what. Or sometimes orbs can be this big. I've seen people say that there's a little light in their room, like a little orb, or a ginormous round things flying in the sky. So I have seen orbs in my experience, and in fact, nightly sometimes I will. About a week ago, I told Dolly about this when we spoke on the phone the other day. I went outside to have a look at a big helicopter flying right over the top of my house. And right when it passed, a massive flash in the sky happened, and an orb, for want of a better word, flew across the sky, flashing and, moving and things like this. And then about 8 happened all in a matter of a minute, lights flying all around the sky, and I called it like a light show. And my heart was like, oh my gosh, they're here, they're telling me here I am. And that was about a week ago. And another gentleman who I'm friends with, he had a bit of a download all that night, and so it must have been just in our area that they were doing some sort of, they were concentrating on
I would worry more about being government, to be honest with you, okay?
Because I missed that. Sorry, what was that?
I would worry about that being more of a shadow government exercises, because ETs really are not here. They left a couple years ago. They cannot come here right now because our magnetosphere is so far down and our CMEs are too frequent, and they had enough crashes. They can't do it anymore. They won't do it anymore, and they left. They'll come back as soon as our situation calms down enough for them to come back. And the governments of the world know this, and they're flying stuff now that they've back engineered. So you got to be careful what you're looking at that discovery. You really can't.
Well, Elon Musk has got thousands, not millions, tens of thousands of whatever those things are he's got flying around there. And I don't know. I can't understand why. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would you do? I can't. That
You
doesn't
just have to watch
make
and go,
sense.
and think about it, really hard.
Yeah.
Try to explain everything that you see, prove it one way or the other, because it's not
Yeah.
ET. No, not at all.
Now,
That's
Ro,
good.
you sent me a picture. I think it's you and your family where one of the little girls is circled. Is that you?
Yeah, that's me. So that
Oh,
was around the time I was dealing with all of this
Oh,
business, and I sort of, I'm not really happy. I'm kind of, someone help me. There's not something not quite right. I don't fit in here. So that's my
Wow.
mum and
I
my
know the
dad and my
feeling.
sister,
Yeah. That's
my brother.
adorable.
Yeah, thank
Amazing.
you.
Wow.
They split up just not long after that, and my brother and my dad moved to Sydney, and mum and my sister stayed in Taree. So we had a big split in our family for about 6 years. We didn't have contact with them. Not that it matters. I'm just saying that's a happy sort of time, even though that was happening in my world. They obviously had things going on in their world.
Yeah, well, that was going to be my next question. I don't know if you ever got a chance to ask them if they, because being an experiencer, it follows in families. It's generational. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing they probably did have experiences. I'm wondering if you were ever able to ask them or aware of it in any way.
Well, my mum, I did ask her a couple of years ago, and she said, "Of course, I've seen a UFO." And I'm like, "What? When?" And she's like, "I don't know." And of course, she's gotten dementia now, so she couldn't remember anyway, which was so frustrating. But I did actually have one of actually, I've got it written here, is 93 on exactly the 26th of December 93. Dad and I were driving up from England to Scotland. Dad's Scottish, and I was born over there. So he was sort of doing a bit of how old was I? 21. So he was driving us from England to Scotland, and I was sitting in the back seat. My brother, who I think was 14 or 15 at the time, he was asleep in the front seat, and Dad was driving. I had the whole back seat to myself in case I wanted to have a lie down and have a rest. And I was looking out the window, and there was some circular lights, and it looked like it was lights either reflected up onto fog or shining through fog, and that followed our car for hours and hours. And we pulled up at a station, a petrol station, or like a rest stop, and Dad said, "I'm going to have a sleep for a couple of hours." And I was dying to go to the bathroom, so I went to the bathroom, and I was like, great, I'm exhausted, looking at these lights all night long, following our car directly above our car, and having no idea what they were. They weren't just lights in a circle, but they were pulsating in and out. One circle was going one way, the other circle was going the other. And I didn't even think that was a UFO. I just thought, it's light reflected from our hubcaps or some.
Did you guys talk about it?
Yeah, I did, and Dad didn't. That's what I mean. Dad didn't ever say anything about it, and he kind of, I suppose, which was odd because Dad sort of was a bit dismissive. I was like, well, whatever, who cares? And anyway, so when we got back to the car after Dad had stopped, he was, "Where are you? Where were you? You were so long. I was so worried about you." And I just went to the ladies' room. "Oh, come on, we're going now." And I'm like, "What do you mean? We haven't even had a sleep yet." And it only just occurred to me I might have had missing time. Yeah. And it didn't even occur to me that was happening. Wow. So I've written that down. I said, we were going to rest, but Dad said we were being restless, so we just drove again. And I do remember Dad snapping at me because he was really worried and he couldn't leave the car because my brother was in the car, and he was going to look for me. And I'm like, "Oh, what are you talking about?" So I just thought I was going from here to there, and I didn't see the lights when we pulled up. And I thought, I wonder where they went. So...
Oh, well, that's a huge red flag, as you know.
Yeah, I know. And here I am going, "Oh, my God, hang on a second. I only just think about these things now. I'm thinking about this stuff all the time, You can't not think about it when you've had so many things and it's such a big question mark as to...
No, at that point, were you like a little girly girl playing with dolls and skipping rope?
No, I was 21. So I'd already moved out of home. Yeah, and I'd already had... those missing pregnancies and
oh yikes!
And by that stage I'd flown the craft when I was 19, so I'd moved away from home. And
at 19,
well, I tell you that story.
That's like the same. Yeah.
I want to know about that. You can just focus on that real quick. Tell me
that. Dolly did very close.
Yeah. Oh, really? Was it? Okay.
I started learning at the age of 14, just after I turned 14, and I was able to solo at 19. So I went on my first solo flight at 19. So 4 or 5
Wow.
years,
Okay.
long
Well,
time.
I didn't
Long.
even. It's really weird because when I wrote down my experience, what I remembered, I wrote a bunch of stuff in in diaries from when I was 28, and what I remember now wasn't what I wrote down. And I wrote down that we went to a pub. I'm like, what would they? That doesn't make it. I don't remember going to a pub.
Oh wow.
So
Wow.
that might have been a screen memory for some reason that I don't even remember that. But what happened in my actual memory was, and I said it was a dream because I woke up in my bed, and I didn't realize that it could be a real experience at that time. So I was hanging washing out. I've got a photo. I've got a painting that I painted of the event there. I was hanging washing out.
Okay.
It was nighttime. I was like, oh my God, I forgot to hang that washing out. And I'll hang it out at night, and maybe it might be dry in the morning time. So I've gone outside to hang this washing out. I can't remember whether I got a chance to hang it out or not, frankly. But an actual, I'm not sure whether you're familiar with what we call min lights. They're just lights in the sky, like a kind of static thing or something. And I thought this round light ball that was coming towards me out of the sky, I thought that was a min light. And I was like, oh, wow, that's what a min light is. Who knew? So it's come down, and I thought, oh, you look a bit kind of radioactive or something. I better not touch it because, you want to grab hold of something.
Yeah.
But,
Wow.
it was that close. It was probably 2 to 3 meters away from me.
Thanks.
And
Wow.
and it was at eye level. So it was kind of almost interacting with me. It was sort of playing with me a little bit, like bobbing in the air, almost having a kind of, oh, what if I come at you? No, I won't. Haha, this sort of thing. So it was almost
Floating like this. Was it doing this?
It was kind of coming at me. And
That's how
then
they bob. When they come that low, they bob. They're like they're on the ocean.
exactly,
They're onto a magnetic current below them, and it's like being on the ocean, and that's what they do.
Oh, so it wasn't just sitting there. It was sort of bobbing, like exactly that word, bobbing around. And then weirdly, it crashed into my face, and like I was like, oh my God, it's hit me. And I didn't see it again. And I found myself then floating up into the air, being drawn up by whatever. I don't remember a beam of light or anything. And I was in the air going upwards, and I kept hearing, look up, don't look down. So, everything's going to be okay sort of thing. So, and when I looked up, I've got a painting there that I painted of a rectangular spacecraft. And I was like, oh my gosh, I better try and remember everything I see. So I really was focusing and forcing myself to remember everything I saw. I don't know exactly what these shapes of these red sort of elements were. Yeah, there's me, little old tiny me. I'm assuming I was wearing a nightie. I don't know. Anyway, and so
I love it.
Thank you. From underneath, you can see what I saw was really like a grill element, and it was glowing red. Some sort of features at the bottom. And when I read back on my diary from 2001 that I tried, this would have been 1991.
Right.
That drawing. But when I wrote my diary, I wrote it 10 years later, and I'd said it was I'd said about the elements being really red hot and not to touch it, and I've come up through the lower level there, through the elements, like there must have been a hatch or something.
Wow.
And I've come up onto a deck, and I've got just a drawing of what it looked like inside that craft. So it was so about a bus size, and there were 4 tall blondes. I didn't know what I was like, what on earth kind of creature is going to be manning this spaceship? And thank God they were humanoids. So I was like, probably, what on earth? What am I going to meet? You know.
Mhm.
So there's little old me, and
This
I'm
is
not very
another
good at
great
drawing
picture. It
faces.
really helps. Yeah.
Ignore the faces. But what I remembered really specifically was these white swivel chairs, and I thought, swivel chairs, really? It just seemed like it was like a human feature. And I don't know whether that's those bench seats, but so I had 2 females and 2 males. And what happened was I didn't know what to say to them. So I just said, greetings, welcome to planet Earth.
Okay.
And I was like, oh
Yeah.
God, you know, you're stuck on the spot, because I could have started to scream and I could have panicked and I could have really had a bad time of it. But I thought, right, I mean, I was only 19. I better make this worthwhile. So I didn't know. I knew this wasn't human tech. There was no way this could be human technology in 1991. I thought, maybe I was wrong. And so basically, what went through my mind was, you know, don't rape me, don't murder me, don't steal me, don't implant me, don't
Yeah.
kill me, don't take me off to another galaxy, don't kidnap me, all these sorts of things. And I think they might have laughed actually, but I
Yeah.
was actually, one of them said to me,
Yeah.
if you touch us, we will kill you. Okay, then. Or it will kill you. And I thought, oh God, they're space suits, whatever color they were. I've just put blue there. I don't know whether they were blue. I thought they must be somehow radioactive or electric. So if I touched them, I would maybe get zapped. So to my surprise, they said to me, would you like to fly the craft? And I was like, well, that blew me away, because I thought they just said that it would kill me. Next minute, they're asking me to fly the craft. So I sat in one of the swivel seats, and I don't know exactly how. I assume I just put my hand on a panel somehow, and I was able to fly the craft. And I just remember seeing field after field underneath. So I was going quite slowly, and field as in like farm, you know, hills and these sorts of things. So the guy said to me, well, you think that's fast? This is fast. So we swapped, and I was standing next to him. So he was sitting in the seat, and I was standing to his right. And he must have been instructing me or something. And he just went really fast, so that you couldn't see any fields at all. And we were going for a long time. And I was like, what? I've got to get back to work. That's all I was worried about in the morning time. And I had been at my house by myself, so no one was expecting me there or noticed that I would even be gone. And anyway, so we just went so far and so fast, and I was panicking, going, where on earth are we? And so I did grab hold of his arm. So I just went like this and said, excuse me, can we please go back now? And he said, yes. And I was like, thank God. And he said, but first we're going to put an implant in the back of your neck. And I was like, no, you know. And that's when I started to panic. And I think they were going to shave the back of my neck. And I think I was more worried about having an uppercut or undercut or whatever it's called than the implant. But what I've actually written in my journal is to track me, which I don't remember that part. So they wrote that bit in there. And then, as you see later on, that must make sense now, how they found me over in the UK. This was in Noosa in Australia, this time when I was 19, flying the craft. And I'm sure that we must have had a conversation, because I said, where are you from? You know, maybe they said, do you want to ask us any questions? And I said, well, where are you from? Thinking, oh, you're going to tell me a planet. And they said, we're travelers. And I got this idea that maybe they were just Swedish or Swiss or something, because they had tall blonde hairs. And I thought, oh God, does that mean then that they're from here? And of course, it didn't even occur to know anything back then that maybe there were underground bases that these people are staying at or not.
Is this kind of what they look like, the picture you sent?
Oh, yes. So that I know that was your book, Preston. And I saw that, and I just about had a heart attack. I was like, oh my God, that really good looking. And that picture to me just made me go, wow, I've seen this, you know, these people are real.
Yes, they are.
And
That's from this
yeah,
book.
so
They are.
that's
They
Preston's book.
are.
Thank you, Preston.
Y'all call them Nordics or tall white. Okay.
Yeah.
And they're not from Earth. They're from somewhere else in the galaxy.
Yeah.
And they are very tall. The young ones before they're 30, they reach about 7'5", somewhere around there. And then after 30, they have a growth spurt that's immense, and they can top out over 8, 9, 10 feet tall.
Wow.
And they live for hundreds of years. They're very smart. And the joke about touch us or we'll kill you sounds familiar to me because they are very strict about protocol.
That's how I felt
And
too. I felt like not to mess around. These people are not to be. These people aren't friendly.
No, they are, but they're very. They have respect rules that are serious. Okay,
That's exactly
you
how
know
I
how the
felt
Japanese
too.
lose face, and that their society is very respect driven. And if you lose face, that's like a fate worse than death. Well, for them, approaching them or getting in their face or threatening them in any way can cause you harm because they will stop you instantly and not allow you to go near them again. The fact that you were being, what's the word I want to use? They were checking you out to see if you could fly. That's why you were there. Okay. They wanted to see how you would handle it because you might have been a candidate for going further than that. Okay. That they do that sometimes. They have their own, all ET ethnicities have their own system of, their own pilots, their own everything. They cross over every now and then, and they all work cooperatively with one another. But everybody pretty much has their own. And when you said that the triangular one, I mean the rectangular one, I went, yep, that's it. That's them. They have the rectangular craft.
Oh, there you go. Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So was that a positive experience, Ro? Was that when you were flying it? Was like, whoa, this is cool. I love this. Or
I think it was more so confusing because I was like, wow, this is completely unexpected. I don't know whether I'd ever had contact with once like that before, except for the fact now I realize that when I was, I think I was 17 and I think 20 something, I had those missing pregnancies. So that's a whole other story there. But what I thought was interesting when I stood on that deck of the floor of the spacecraft with those tall blonde people, I had long blonde hair too. And it was like I felt, I'm not about a family connection, but I felt very similar to them. I felt like we looked
you
similar.
probably have some of their genetics. I do. That is part of my ethnicity profile.
My son now has grown his hair really long, and and he's 20. He's just turned 22 in this July, and he a few years ago said 3 times in 1 year. He doesn't remember this. He doesn't remember saying it. Doesn't remember anything. That he woke up 3 separate times with his clothes all upside down, inside out, and back to front or something.
Yeah,
or off completely.
Contact, generational contact.
Yeah. So that's another thing I have to. I mean, my family's had struggle with me coming forward with this. You know, I've had a divorce and it's not been easy at all. My kids were told I was crazy. I had the police come around trying to maybe arrest me going insane or something. I don't even know. And I was told, my family was told by my ex-husband that I joined a cult. He told all my old workplaces that I'd gone crazy and joined a cult. I mean, what the?
You scared the devil out of them. That's what you did. And people react like that.
Yeah.
They face the truth of anything or don't want to, you know?
Yeah.
Instead of helping
my
you.
Kids are still Yeah. So, you know, we've had not a family divide, but it's blown people out of the water. Some of my aunties haven't talked to me again. Another auntie went, "Oh my God, we always knew there was something different about you." And that makes sense to them.
I've been through that my whole life, and I have a family divide as well. Not everybody's accept, you know. We just live in that environment. So,
I hear this sort of thing all the time. It can cause separations with brothers and sisters, you know, siblings, and parent and child, and of course couples. I was studying UFOs, and it kind of divided my family a little bit. And I hadn't even really seen one yet, They thought
Yeah.
I had lost my mind. I'm like, no, look, this
No.
is real. Read this book,
I
look.
know. And the more you say how real it is, the more crazy you think they are. They think you are. But I would like to touch on the babies
Okay.
because
Yeah,
this is
I'm curious.
I can't go backwards in time. I don't think records are kept for 20-something, 30 years, but which would be fascinating to actually see if they really were. But when I was my first time, I really had a boyfriend, and we became pregnant. And like the first time, and I was like, oh my god! And it was confirmed I was pregnant. Obviously, you're not going to, So I suppose you're going to have ultrasounds, and doctors are going to check you. And I've got a photo which I should have sent through to you, Preston, but I didn't think about it at the time. I've got a photo of me standing there with my hands over my tummy. Oh, I'm like, oh God, there's a family photo here. Everyone's going to see how pregnant I was. And I was just before 12 weeks. So if I didn't have, sorry, everyone, it's not a done thing, but if I didn't have an abortion at 17, I wasn't ready to have a baby. And so we went to an abortion clinic. My boyfriend at the time organised it. He was slightly older than me, and that was in Sydney. And we made a bit of a holiday of it. We went to Canberra and then to the Snowy Mountains and saw Bathurst car race at the same time. So it was all kind of a big trip, and hidden underneath that was a trip to the abortion clinic. But most people don't know. I don't talk about that sort of thing just because society doesn't understand abortions. But when after I had the abortion and went under the twilight anesthetic, the nurse came over to all of us. But once she said to me, she said, there was no fetus in there. Were you even pregnant? I'm like, yes, of course I was pregnant. And like I said, it was 12 weeks. So I thought, they've obviously missed this minuscule little dot that babies must be at that. And I'm not even realizing that it could well be like a proper size baby. I didn't know anything. And I thought,
12 weeks, a fetus is 2 inches and its heart is beating.
God.
So it should have been there. Yeah.
Exactly. And I thought they must have just been incompetent, didn't notice it, just got sucked up with whatever happens down there. And that was that. And I put that behind me. I didn't talk about that they said there was no fetus because I thought, God, what a hassle I've created if I wasn't actually pregnant. But they didn't. That was that. So when I moved back from Noosa to Taree, I was with another man for a little bit, and then we split up. And then afterwards I found out I was pregnant. And I was like, I better get in before 12 weeks because I'm not going to have a baby by myself at age, I think I was 20 then. So I was really careful after that, never ever to get pregnant again. But I went to the Taree Base Hospital and had a curette there. And the nurse came up and said the exact same thing. And I was like, I thought, not two places couldn't be as incompetent as each other. And I didn't even think that maybe my fetus had been taken by ET until years and years later. I was like, oh, hang on a second, that was bizarre. So I don't remember having contact with any kind of ET during all those times, except for the ones that I speak about. Mind you, I haven't told you that there was a UFO sighting on that night that I had my experience at Noosa. It was reported on the radio that the radio announcer had seen 3 because I found it in my diary, 3 fluorescent green cylindrical craft either go into the ocean or behind the ocean on the exact same night. So I woke up in my bed. I haven't told you that full story. Sorry. I woke after this implant in my neck, and I woke up in my bed like that. And I was like, oh my God. And I reached back there, and I do have like a lump there. I don't know how long that's been there. And I thought, oh, that's a weird dream, just putting it down to dream. But then I went up and turned the radio on, and that's what the first thing I heard. This announcer said that he'd seen 3 UFOs, cylindrical green UFOs, that night when he was fishing. So that blew my mind. But also the whole next day at work, when I was at work, I was looking for the people that I'd seen on the craft, these tall blondes, all day. Like, I mean, it wouldn't be a dream. Why would I be looking for people if, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I was like looking and looking. Oh, where these travelers are going to come and visit. They must have said to me, "I will see you again" or something. So
Do you remember
I
how that
actually
experience ended?
that's
And
how
was-
it ended. Well, I just woke up in my bed. Well,
Alright.
in my like.
What was the last thing you remember? Was the getting implanted?
And I think we had those conversations where, like, where are you from? Will I see you again? Yes, we will see you again. And I actually not 100% that they may, because I came back after that time, and I was instantly interested in recycling and the planet and fixing
There
things.
you go. Yeah.
I don't remember anything actually being told to me, but I was like, we need to look after this planet. And I was the first person to recycle. I was the first person to compost. I was the first person to, worry about things. And I started to learn about how to be self-sufficient and all these other sorts of things.
Yeah, I know. The
That-
first
that-
time
that-
somebody came to my house with a plastic knife board, cutting board, I was like,
Yeah.
throw it away, get it out of the house now. And my father was like, why? We spent money on this. And I said, you're not eating microplastics. We're not eating microplastics.
Oh, wow.
This is back in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s. And I
Oh.
forbid them in my family. No, cannot have them. Do not put a knife to this stuff
Wow.
after it. And I'm glad I did, because it's showing up in people's blood now.
Oh my
causing
God.
problems.
This
Yeah.
is a really important detail because there's fear surrounding this subject. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of people saying, "Oh, this is bad for us," and I love it when I hear these details because this comes up all the time. This shows what the ETs are concerned about us.
Right.
Yeah.
We're
We need
concerned
to be
about
healthy. Yeah.
our
The
planet.
only way to do that is to treat the planet right and eat right and do all that other stuff. I want to know about your psychic ability. Okay. How did
Yeah.
all that evolve for you?
Well, I do find myself a little bit psychic now. To tell you the truth, I kind of blocked a lot of this out for many years, especially when my kids were little. I had two boys in 2002 and 2004, and I was so busy looking after them. I did have lots of what I call dreams with the greys and triangular black spacecraft. In that time, though, I'd never heard of black triangular spacecraft, only in my dreams, if you want to call them dreams, because in my so-called dreams, I would be amongst a group of people, and we would sort of be in an industrial area, behind fences and in a gravelly kind of weird place, and I'd find myself awake, and we'd be looking in the sky, and there'd be a triangular craft right up high, and people would be going, "Oh my God, there's a UFO!" Oh, don't worry, it's fine. They don't hurt you. They're here to help. Don't worry. And I was always trying to guide them into not being terrified of this UFO because I'd seen them before. But every time in this dream, I would pinch myself. I'm like, finally, I'm awake. Yes. See a UFO, I'm awake. Yeah. And I would force myself to realize I'm awake, wide awake. And I'd be elbowing people. God, thank God I'm awake when I see these UFOs. I mean, who does that in dreams, really? And then I would be on board spacecrafts. So I don't know whether it was how it looked, but I remember from the inside I'd be wandering around these spacecrafts, and I remember that there was, I don't know whether Dolly this is a real thing, because at first after many times of this I thought, that doesn't exist surely, and I've sort of then pushed it away going, it must be just dreams. But there'd be some sort of for want of a better word, like a visualizing area, and looking up into it, right up high on the in some sort of part of the spacecraft, and I'd see galaxies or some sort of other planets or something. We're going towards it, I suppose, and not even realizing that I was in space, but we were in space, I suppose. But the main thing that I would have happened during those times was a female grey would be staring at me, and I would be staring at her, and she'd be trying to teach me not to be terrified of something that looked different to her. And we would just have, it was a very loving, caring communion, for want of a better word, communication between me and another species, and to try and push that fear away. Don't be scared. This is just love.
I'm
And
going to
that
tell you
happened
something
time and time
Preston
and time
never
again.
heard.
No, wait,
I wanna
wait
say-
a second.
Wait, this is
Before you
important.
do,
I wanted to hear the name.
We have
Stop.
to do the
Stop.
top of the
Stop.
hour announcement.
You got 1 minute. I got 1 minute. I've never said her name to anybody, not to Preston ever. I've always called her Mama, but she has a name. And she told me to call her Mama because I had a problem with L's when I was really young. I could not pronounce an L properly. And she'd just say Mama. But her name was Loma. That was her name, Loma.
Wow.
And I could not say la at all. I trust me, you don't even want to hear how I said it. I'm short tongue. And she just say Mama instead of Loma. But that was her name, Loma.
Oh.
And I don't know if she ever told you her name, but that I'm thinking we got the same liaison. Okay, that's why. And I wanted to
too.
see how you act. Huh?
I see great similarities between your guys' experience. But wait, I do need to take a quick station ID break.
Okay.
So just want to let you all know that you're watching The Light Gate. This is episode 64. I'm your host, Preston Dennett. My lovely co-host is Dolly Saffron. Our guest today is Rowan Robo, the UFO girl. You can check out the links in the show description, but we've been talking about all kinds of interesting experiences she's had involving shadow beings as a little girl, UFO sightings, some missing time, phantom pregnancies, being taken on board, piloting the craft, communicating with the Greys, and more. But we are streaming on several platforms I'd like to let you know about, including we're broadcasting live from the beautiful city of New Orleans on the United Public Radio Network. You can see the ticker down below at 105.3 FM, and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 107.7 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. Also, we're on Roku. So if you have Roku, check that out. We're on YouTube and Facebook. And we're having a really interesting discussion tonight. I'm so excited to hear all this stuff because it's really confirming some of the things I've heard from other people. And I'm really just delighted to hear how your viewpoint is about all of this, because it's coming across as, like this is, a little bit scary and unusual and confusing, but overall you're growing from it spiritually. And it's been
absolutely.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but would you say that this has been overall a positive thing in your life?
Yeah, well, I've got 2 big diaries that I'd written I mentioned before in 2001. And interestingly, every time I would have these so-called dreams of I call it Grey Lady, there would be reports of UFOs either on the news or in the newspapers. And so that always felt like it was confirmed to me. And one of the last times I actually had that was I was with my brother-in-law. He was staying in one of the other bedrooms in the house, and he actually said that he saw a star shoot off on that same night. And also helicopters. We heard a lot of helicopters as well. So, but what's interesting in my diary, I would write, there was another UFO seen at the same night as I had my dream of my grey late alien or whatever. And then I said, I don't know what you said. I wish I could remember. And then I go on to all this spiritual stuff, and I'm talking all about psychic, how to be psychic, how does the universe work. It didn't even occur to me that oh, thanks, Matt. That's a lovely thing to say. It didn't even occur to me. I've written just pages and books of how the universe works and how to channel. I'd have forgotten all about all that. I'd written all that stuff, and now I'm learning all about it, how my chakras work. I was doing yoga and meditation and being a vegetarian and growing all my plants and food products and learning all about bush foods, bush tucker, just in case we had an apocalypse. I was always prepping for apocalypses, even though no one was talking about that. in the early 90s. So I'm guessing that's the information that she must have been giving me. I always felt like that somehow I was prepping myself for after the apocalypse to help people to find food. I still do it now. Like, you can eat that weed over there. You can remember that spot over there. That's where you can eat those things. So I always know for myself, if anything ever happens, that I could maybe help people to live.
Yeah, I hear this from so many contactees. It's funny, when I was a little boy,
Yeah.
let's see, I was 7 years old. I was buying every book on every disaster I could find. My parents and siblings thought, what's wrong with Preston? He's obsessed with death. I'm like, no, it's disasters. There's a different thing.
Yeah.
So I think I was picking up the message, even though I didn't have any conscious encounters at that age. Eventually I would, but I think I was getting the message. And I hear this from so many contactees. So here we go again. It's amazing to hear this.
Yeah. Well, I have read a lot of books. Only in the last several years did I realize, I was like, well, what's their message? What are they trying to tell us? And I was like, I could be reading Contactee books. And that's where I came across Dolly. Sorry, it's so windy here. It's apocalyptic and freezing.
Oh yeah,
But,
you're in wintertime. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, in Brisbane,
That's
Australia.
why you're
So
sweatered up. Okay, that
I
makes
know.
sense.
I'm like, ooh. Yeah. So I like just finding out, and I like finding out if people have had similar experiences to me, because my experience came before I found out about other people's experiences, and yeah. But one of the other times that I've had, the last time that I had some sort of being come to me was a couple of years ago, and I had a sleep paralysis, and I think I even wrote down the exact date, because I remember I was going to my first CE5, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind meeting, and that's when I found out no one else had ever seen anything, let alone had experiences. And I was like, oh, that's really weird, that no one at the CE5 meeting had really even seen a UFO. Anyway, so I had this sleep paralysis around the night before, actually, and I had two greys leaning over me, one shorter and one taller, but they were both males. And one of them said, why is she panicking? Why is she freaking out? And the other one said, that's because she hadn't seen us when she's been awake before, even though I had sleep paralysis, but I still could see these beings leaning over me. And they did something. They must have moved me from somewhere to somewhere. And I stopped breathing. I couldn't breathe. And they were like, stop moving. We you need to stay still. And I'm like, I just need to move my hand, because I felt like something was stopping me from breathing and I couldn't breathe. And I thought maybe something was leaning over my face. And then finally I said, I can't breathe. I just need to move my hand. They let me move my hand to brush across my face. And I was surprised that I couldn't feel anything on my face. Stop me from breathing, but I could breathe.
Yeah, you are having a full, honest to God, 100% panic attack. I'm going to tell you this. They do not stop you from moving. They cannot. You do it. Everybody who talks about sleep paralysis, it's not sleep paralysis. You're in an unbelievable emotional panic attack, and you freeze. And
I was leaning over me. It felt like that.
Numb. Some people feel cold and numb at the same time. And you're telling them, I need to move my hand. And you thought they gave you permission. They didn't. They were waiting for you to do something for yourself.
Well, there you go.
That's you doing that. I wish everybody would learn to understand that sleep paralysis is not the same thing. When you're in the REM state, going into REM, your brain produces a chemical that literally freezes your muscles. It makes them unusable, so that you can't act out what you're dreaming, because people can kill each other in that state if they're not frozen. Their body's not shutting that down. And so they associate that phenomena with the ETs, and it's not. You've been trained to be so afraid of everything that people don't realize how badly we can panic when we don't know what the hell's going on. And it causes you to freeze. I froze. Yeah, I mean, I literally froze. And when he put his hand on me and, on my hand and took me out, that's when I started breathing again, because you stop breathing and panicking as well. You feel like you're suffocating. Yeah.
Well,
Oh, there you go.
Contactees, they'll say, I wasn't sure if it was them or me, but I couldn't move. If it was the
Yeah, right.
fear or something they were doing. So some people are
Oh,
kind
that
of
makes sense.
getting
They're
to it.
somewhere in
They're not
between.
quite
Yeah, they're
there.
starting to come to it,
Oh,
but they're in a full panic attack. Absolutely.
yeah.
Full panic attack.
And
'Cause
wherever
it's,
they took me somewhere, and then I had 40 minutes missing time. When I woke up, I felt like something
yeah,
was being pulled out from under my hand, and my
yeah,
blanket that had been on the ground was now over the top of me.
yeah.
It wasn't there.
They'll put you back
So,
in bed. Yeah,
and my hand was still like that. And I was like, well, that was what, I don't know what they did. They did something medical, but it was real clinchy
yeah.
was the word I used. Like, yeah, what are they doing?
Yeah, it's in our genetics. We're
Anyway,
related to everything, okay? Especially on this planet. And there are plenty of animals on this planet that when they're frozen, I mean, when they're terrified, they freeze. If you see a
yeah,
cat that's totally terrified of something, his hackles are up, but he's like emotionally, he can't move and he's staring at you. You walk all
yeah,
around him and he's not going to move from that position. Possums will freeze, goats will
yeah.
freeze,
That makes sense.
humans will freeze. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just a thing. We do it all over the place. Most animals in full panic will freeze, and they have no control over the bodies at that point. It's a
yeah,
genetic orientation that survival, for some reason, beat into us, and it's fear driven, absolute fear driven. So,
yeah. Right. Well, that makes sense.
Well,
But a couple of weeks before that, I'd seen this UFO come flying, pure daylight, just boom, straight across in front of me. It was only about I don't know 2 or 3 meters. It was a triangular craft, a really flat triangular craft. It was like
mhm.
fluorescent white, black, fluorescent white, black, and it was really really windy on that day, and it was like it was going, "I'm a bird, you're nothing to see here. I'm a bird." And I was like, "That ain't a bird, it's triangular," and it was shooting across like a frisbee. Boom,
What year
straight
was
across.
this? What
It
year?
was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, 2022. It was about
Yeah,
March.
that was a
Yeah,
back engineered craft. They are
it felt
TR3Bs.
like
Yeah, and they're
no,
capable of all
no,
kinds of
no.
crap. Yeah,
It
they
was on
are.
the side, and I thought, where did that go? And I nearly had an accident trying to find where this thing went.
Yeah.
But I thought people would have just ignored that because they would think it's a bird because it was sort of saying, "I'm a bird, I'm a bird," but it wasn't a bird.
Yeah, it was having a bad
Just
day.
straight
They
in
have
front of
bumpers
me.
with those things. Yeah. Yeah,
So
it was a
that's what
TR3B. Yeah. I'm telling you, it was a
made me
TR3B.
think.
No
Maybe I do
ET
have
was
something in there.
triangular. No, you're not being tracked by the government. You're being tracked. And it's not really tracked. They're just guarding your health. They're watching you. They make sure you're alive, your heart's ticking,
Yeah,
that you're not in danger and that kind of thing because
that's
you're one
good.
of their people. Okay.
Yeah,
If you see triangular craft, and I'm saying this to everybody within the sound of my voice, stop. There are no ETs here. And they started coming out, the TR3Bs, all the way back into the 80s. These are back engineered. They're deadly. They carry laser cannon as well as they have
mm.
rectangular ones too that are weird looking.
Oh,
Please go in, get away from them. Don't hang out and stare at them. Get away from them because they are back engineered. They are deadly. Do not think that is ET. They are not. I
yeah.
can't say it enough. They are not.
That came from there's an army training ground called Greenbank that was on that side of the road, and it was like
Yeah.
it sort of yeah. But something else I haven't mentioned, when I was in Africa,
Yeah.
when I was 20, how old was I? 24. So remember those 3 cylindrical craft? There was
Yeah.
2 more there in Africa that I'd
Yeah.
seen. We went camping. We were on a canoe trip
Mhm.
on the
That's how-
Zambezi River, which is between Zambia and Zimbabwe. And I
Yeah.
didn't realize that's a very hot spot there. I'd never heard of, obviously, the aerial school, which I think happened a couple of years beforehand. And it was right near there.
Wow.
And yeah, so we'd seen a satellite flying in the sky. It was just on dark. And we just said it's a satellite, but I even said to myself, I don't know whether it's a satellite. Back in the 90s, I don't think we really saw satellites there. It was 96. I mean, I don't remember satellites, put it that way. But and then somebody else said, "What's that over in the distance?" And right on the distance was that shape craft going across like that. And then as soon as I thought, oh my God, I know what that is. That's a green cylindrical craft that I'd heard of on the radio. That was the same night as, so I never told anybody my story.
Yeah.
But I said, I think it's a UFO. And as soon as I said that, it just disappeared behind this wispy little tiny cloud, smaller than, and it just disappeared as soon as I said that, even though it was miles and miles and miles away. And exactly a week later, we're in the Drakensberg Mountains of Zimbabwe, and I think or South Africa. I can't remember. I'll have to look that up. And we saw this satellite go across, and I remember it because we were deep in the mountain range. It was really dark at the bottom. We were already kind of like hurrying along to get our dinners and teeth cleaned and this sort of stuff before it got really dark. And we were camping in a tent, and there was a young girl we were camping with in her tent. Actually, we just sort of pitched in with her, and after we were backpacking for 6 months, and so we saw this light go across the sky, and it was still quite blue in the sky, and a light satellite, really in the daytime, dark, getting dark, and there were clouds on here, so it went between the clouds. And I said, oh, last time we saw that, and I was trying to look around for the colour on the tents. I thought surely there'd be this fluorescent green around the tent. Couldn't see any. I looked up in the sky, and here's this thing coming straight across like that through the cloud, over the clouds, and it had a really light ends, so it was cylindrical, obviously, but solid, like crystal or glass, or what I thought was optic fibre back in that time. Fluorescent green, and the two ends were like really bright. And I was like, how on earth is that flying? This thing in front of it wasn't guiding it. There was no string. Did it make any noise at all? Silent. No, it was just floating across the sky, and I'm trying to like get everyone's attention, like up in the sky. No one looks. No one was even noticing things. And even at that point, I was like, even though we saw this massive thing, people were like, oh, would you stop banging on about it? And, you know, no one cares. And this sort of dismissive attitude. Like, are you kidding? We've just seen the most amazing thing in the world, really, especially so that was the third time that I'd seen this. And that's, I suppose I'd been tracked or something or other. How do they find me? Why am I there? Why am I the only one seeing these things?
They can do that, you know. You can be in a crowd of people and they'll be the only one seeing it.
Yeah,
they have that ability.
Well, I've got a friend, Rob. He's Rob Fullington. He's a famous contactee, and he's in California. And he said he had a triangular craft above him, and people who were right next to him said it was a flock of seagulls. They couldn't even see it. It was there for 40 minutes, and the other people right next to him couldn't see it.
Amazing.
I know.
Yeah, it still wasn't ET. That is definitely the government. The shadow government.
That's right. I wouldn't be surprised there.
You know, and they have the ability to do psychic things as well. So you have
I have another question, Ro, regarding these pregnancies. Were you ever taken on board and seen any babies, or told you that this is your child, or anything like that along those lines?
I did have. When I started to investigate this again in 2022, it all kind of came out with your picture of your book, Preston, and me, and that Skinny Bob, that kind of was coming out around that time.
All right.
And I've got a photo of someone from Facebook. I've just saved their photo. So Skinny Bob looked to me like a female. I'm like, that's not a male alien. That's a female. That looked to me exactly like my lady, and just perfect looking to me anyway. And so when I started to and Dolly, when I started to find out your experiences and your grey lady alien, for want of a better word, I started to call her Molly because I couldn't remember. I didn't say Dolly or Mama, so I started to name her Molly. And I remember, and I remember I think it was you saying how to meditate. You were telling me how to meditate at that time. And so I kind of focused on her eyes in my mind, her blue eyes. And I felt like she was helping me to meditate. In fact, I actually became a meditation instructor because I felt like they were telling me to meditate and to do meditation. And I'd never really thought about it for a long time.
Yeah.
So one time I was meditating and kind of talking to her, or at least being with her at that time. And she sort of introduced my children through to me in my psyche. Does that make sense? I was crying my eyes out. I was like, oh my God, this beautiful boy. I knew that I had a girl. I always knew that I had a girl, and I actually named her that first pregnancy. I named her Tempest, which is the most weirdest word, but it just seems right. Tempest. It's not even really a word that anyone uses.
Wow.
And so she, to me, looked a little bit Islander or something, even though the man who I was with didn't look Islander. She had like dark curly hair, and my boy, who was the second one, I think I just called him Adam, or felt like he was an Adam. And they both were grown up, and I was just so proud. And I have a feeling that the tall blondes are just looking after them. So to me, I feel like that I'm so happy that, for starters, that I didn't accidentally kill beings, but also just to just know that they're getting looked after.
Can you see that? Preston, if I send
Yes.
Mama's
Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, that's exactly the picture that I'd been meditating on.
Yeah.
And for some reason, her eyes just
she's really blue, relax. Kind of green overlay in her eyes, and she's just real. What's the word I'm looking for? Very gentle, very elegant. She moves elegantly, regally, and she only has 4 fingers. I grew up thinking that I was going to lose my pinky. I was waiting to get only 4 fingers like her, and it never happened. I was so disappointed. And she says, "No, you're 5-fingered. What are you thinking?" And I'm like, "Well, I want 4."
Yeah.
But that's her. Yeah. Definitely.
I think she was showing me in my psyche that my children were getting looked after, and that they were safe, and it was just such a nice feeling. Like I said, when I told you a couple of days ago when we were talking on the phone, I was crying then, thinking, oh, how beautiful that they're getting looked after. And you know what, they're getting the spiritual kind of training that we just don't have. We're all struggling from knowing nothing really. The churches don't really teach us spirituality. We're all sort of trying to learn.
Right. I agree. Our children are gifted with better than we have. And that's important to remember,
Well, we've got about a half an hour left. Can we answer some questions from chat? Would that be fun?
Wonderful. Lovely. Thanks.
Okay, there's quite a few. Hopefully we can get through most of them. This one is from John Mo Marshall. Would still like to know how ETs spend their days in their society. That's a loaded question.
I can't answer that. I'm sorry. I'd hope that they're just doing all good things like
they pursue knowledge constantly, and what their gifts are, what they are good at doing, they do. They work diligently, they work hard, and they're constantly gaining knowledge all the time. If they're going to work with people, they work with people. If they're working on their home world, they have jobs there that they do. They live very simply. They do not live like we do. They live in nature. They know how to work it. They're also light workers, so you can imagine what they can do with that. They have love. They have families. They have pets. They have gardens. They're a lot like us. We are just like them. And when they say you are us and we are you and we're all one, they're not joking around. They have a different society paradigm, though, because there is no hate. There is no avarice. There is no government. There is no division. They all see us all as the same. We're people to them. The home world that's in the Orion cluster is called Endema, and it means the people. I know that the native here have a word for what it is they are, and it means people. And they got it from them. They're star children, and they understood what that meant, and they used that name. they're no different. They sleep, they eat, they make babies. They are interested in almost anything and everything, and they have evolved to the ability that they not only just live in the environment that they're in, they're so psychic that they can go beyond that. Their consciousness is aware in them in the third dimension, and they can see through to other
In
dimensions.
many ways, they're just like us, I think.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Right.
and we're still learning all those things in
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they understand how it works. Right.
Okay, here's one from Janice Conant, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit. But this one is interesting. She's asking, Rowan, have you written any books, or are you going to write about your experiences? They would be awesome. I'd like to know that.
I'd really
too,
like
Rowan.
to. Yeah, I think that would be wonderful, especially when I'm going to go to Mary Rodwell. So her and I are trying to organise something in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm going to spend the weekend up with her. I think it's going to be too little time if we just try and do a Zoom meeting or something.
Mhm.
And she's about 3 or 4 hours away. So I'll just get a long weekend and hopefully find out some of the question marks. Maybe I can come back on and we can talk again about what I find out.
You have all those journals, right? You have all those diaries,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Don't
I'm
lose
writing
them.
more
Keep
things.
writing every day. You know,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
I mean, you can definitely do it just one page at a time, and next thing you know, you have a book.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, now I'm going to continue going in order. And this question, it's for me actually. White Dragon asks, Preston, have you ever piloted a ship? If you know, what type was it and how far did you go? I did have this, and I'll call it a dreamlike experience. I feel it's real. I'm just going to go through this briefly because the show is about you, Rowan. This relates. I was pulled on board, and everyone was getting a chance to sit in the seat right in the front. And they're like, "You can go." I'm like, "I can wait till everyone else goes. I don't mind." And finally, it was my turn, and we were going so fast. I mean, things were just blurring by. We were really low, going underneath bridges, and even I'm like, "Wow!" It was very brief, very fast, and I've got more to say about it, but that was pretty much it in a nutshell. So I didn't really pilot it so much. At least I didn't think I was, but I got to sit in the seat. It was really cool.
I don't think I ever piloted it again either, but I was always there, I think, to just help people. I'm still dream about that to this day. I feel like in my dreams I'm going maybe to, I know it sounds weird, going to another planet or OBEing or something somewhere and just helping people and, helping set up medical centers. I was always in medical and these sorts of things. So I don't know whether there's something going on. And yeah, so there you go.
That's totally
Very
cool.
cool. All right, gosh, the questions are now suddenly pouring in. Hi. All right, here's one from Vinay. Has anyone in the U.S. government or another government figured out the science behind UFO propulsion? I'm going to pivot that a little bit. Ro, have they ever told you anything about how they fly the craft?
Well, I think there's more than one ways, because when I saw that rectangular craft, I thought that was how it was staying up there through these red hot elements at the bottom. But I'm sure that there's other ways. So I'm sure that there's more than one way to have anti-gravitic technology. That's all.
I think our government's figured out some of it, but certainly not all.
Oh, yeah,
of it.
for sure.
They're not technologically advanced enough. They can't fly like ET. They can't propulse like ET. Yeah.
Okay, here's a great question, and this is for all of us. Brian Morgan, what is the most important thing ETs have told you? Or you want to start, Ro?
Well, actually, I was meditating on this the other day. I feel like that everything's already inside of us. So maybe they're not here to tell us. Maybe they're here to guide us. But everything is already inside of us. Our psychic and our spirituality, and maybe all of our gifts. I call them gifts. I don't know what else to call them. How we can OBE, or how we can just view other places. Does that make any sense? Be psychic.
Absolutely. You say exactly what I say. I just use the scientific terms. We have innate abilities inborn, and we have all the equipment to do it, and they expect us to get on board with that. They expect us to wake up, and they want us to work on it. Absolutely. And
Yeah, so it's not really evolution then, is
No.
it? It's been, like we say, it's like we have latent abilities. That means that
Right.
they weren't
Innate.
evolved.
Right. It's
Innate.
innate. Innate.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Inborn. Innate. Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
As far
So
as
first, what
me,
did they tell you?
I can't say that I've had a specific thing, but other than, what would you like to do? Which really makes, throws it back on me and makes me think about myself and my path in life and what I want to do. So I would say that would be the biggest one, which is, it's kind of a cop out, but honestly, it's true because it makes me, think I've always wanted to reach full potential. And I think that comes from them. Because I do feel like you guys are talking about, we can do so much
Yes.
much more than we're doing. We're capable of so much.
Yep.
All right. Dun, 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 dun. This is not a question. This is from Olivia. During Contact in the Desert, there's a contactee I know who penned a letter to the government along with signatures on behalf of abductees. I would love to send a picture of it to you and Dolly. Yeah, send
Sure.
away.
Please.
You can contact me at prestonufo@gmail.com. Okay, here's a good question from Sunny Burnett, and I have an answer for it, but I'm curious about you, Ro. Are there aliens that make odd noises like chirps and strange sounds unlike any Earth animals? Have you heard them talking physically?
I don't remember. I do remember telepathic communication. Like I said, my grey was staring at me, and I don't know, I wouldn't call it a download, but maybe that's what's happening. I haven't heard. I think that the blondes, they were speaking English, but also using telepathy, saying, don't look down, look up, because there was something talking to me in my heart.
Yeah, they don't want you to panic.
Yeah.
Trying to be calm. Yeah.
I have had telepathic communication sometimes, as other people would probably say, you knew to run outside, or that you got some sort of information, or like I said, they told me to do meditating, this sort of stuff. So there definitely is telepathic, but I haven't heard chirps or bird noises that I remember anyway.
I have heard people describe the Greys talking a kind of chirpy, high-pitched, squeaky little,
bird-like. Yeah, bird-like. They have clicks and high-pitched sounds and stuff. When I'm really laughing, I don't laugh like a human. I laugh like them, and it's like it'll burst your eardrums. It's real high, and it's this weird. I learned it from them, and it comes out of me, and I don't know how to do it on my own. It's got to really be funny, and I do that. So yeah.
All right. So I hope that answers your question, Sunny. Let's see. Blue Lotus. Do aliens represent Judaic religion? I don't think so. They don't really talk a lot about religion. That's more of an Earth concept, as far as I know. I don't know if you guys have any comment on that. But
we constructed religion here, and those who control us had more to do with it than anybody else. Just saying.
all right.
That's it.
Here's a question from DGK. You've put this up several times, so I'm going to ask it. I'm not quite sure what it means, but this is to Rowan and to Dolly. Do they have biochemical barriers? Not sure what that.
I don't know what it means either, Dolly.
No, not at all. No.
If you want to, elucidate, we'll give it a try. But
are they talking about on craft or something, or between
any sort of barrier? Any sort of barrier could be physical, could be craft, it could be in front of them. They do not put a chemical.
Oh, all right. No, yeah.
Yeah.
They can prevent a person from coming up to their craft with a force field. I've heard that.
Yeah.
Okay, here is a question from Namaste. Will those who have been given the opportunity to pilot be assisting during a transition off of Earth?
Yes, absolutely. I was trained for that. Someday I will be picked back up after I'm done doing what I'm done here, and after the CME, and the government can't stop them, and they will land worldwide, and there will be 40,000 of us like me who will open the doors, and you'll see a human. And when we say get the hell on now, we mean it. Just get on. If you want a pet, bring your pet. Nothing else. Just get on, because you're going to safety at that point. Because we have
It
things
was
coming.
funny because when I had that last, like I said, sleep paralysis, they were trying to calm me down by asking me who I wanted to bring on, what I wanted to bring on board, and it was definitely my cat. I'm like, why did I have this conversation? And of all the other things, my sewing machine. I'm like, why my sewing machine? I thought, what sort of electricity? What am I choosing? I didn't choose any humans. Sorry, kids. Oops. Sorry.
Okay, I'm going to give Ilgato a cuts in line for his, thank you for the donation, Ilgato. That's very kind of you. And this is an important question, because I think sometimes it does appear this way. Why are all these beings so secretive? What are they hiding?
They're not secretive, not even by a long shot.
Well, in a way they are. I mean, they're not flying around blatantly.
They are broadcasting 24/7 to us, and you have to wake up so you can hear them. It's one thing for them to directly communicate with you, but they're expecting you to be able to communicate with them. And that means use your abilities, wake up, use your innate abilities, develop the talent, because you will get their attention, and they are not secretive. They have plenty of us talking about what's going on, plenty of us.
Yeah.
The governments don't talk about it. They're not secret at all. They've done displays, they've gone to schools, they've gone to drive-ins, they've gone to football games, they go in the sky all the time. There are billions of contactees. No, they are not silent. They are very chatty.
But they can't be too brazen, because we're a very violent species.
Yep. And if you're
very
violent, you're going to get hurt.
And they will try. Yeah. They will. We chase jets after them and try to shoot at them. This is very well documented.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons that they're very careful.
Yeah.
All right.
I have a question for you, Rob.
Yes.
Because this is important. This will answer this question. Even though you're afraid, you're probably one of the most curious people on the planet, are you not?
Yeah, I'm always a researcher. I've got hundreds of, like I say, hundreds of books.
If you have a wide open mind and you're open to any stimulus, any thought, any knowledge that you can gain, that's what you want, correct?
Yeah.
You're not going to listen to what everybody's saying. You're not going to listen to yourself think. You're going to open up and let the information come to you, correct? If you're that type of person, ET's going to chat your head off. Promise you, they will.
Yeah.
If you've got any hookups, weird ups, or anything like that going on with you, it's really hard to hear you. And that's why they say they want everybody to wake up, use your innate abilities, period. Okay?
Yeah.
That's a biggie. All right.
Yeah. And that's hard, because we are scared. We don't. And even if we don't remember everything, it's and not many people talk about this stuff. It's very difficult to
well,
to come to terms with it. I'm still coming to terms with
paranoia over it. Right. We've been conditioned straight into paranoia and fear. And we have to learn that they're not the ones hurting us. We hurt each other. They're not the ones telling us what to do, and that they're going to come in and take over for us. They're telling us that we need to fix ourselves, and quickly.
Yeah.
There's a huge divide, a chasm between those two concepts. And if you want communication, you have to drop the fear. You have to drop the paranoia. They're not going to get you. You were taught to think that way. As Buddha said, let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
And I agree. We're all, they've got a lot of information about chakras, like I said, meditating, just us trying to look after ourselves in the most basic kind of way, and to, allow contact, because if that's the only way that they can communicate, that's what I was thinking, by telepathy. Well, how are we supposed to hear it if we are bound up in fear,
exactly,
or with blockages and God knows what, or not even recognizing that they're there, let alone being able to communicate with them.
The point is that they evolved. We're expected to evolve. We have to catch up with them. They're not going to come down and lift us up. We have to do it. That's the point.
Individually. It's an individual thing. It's not a society.
Absolutely. Dead on. Correct.
That's why it's such an honor, Rhoda, and a delight to talk with you, because I can see you on this journey that so many contactees go through.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of people who are having these experiences. So you're doing important work. You got to get that book out. I can help you in any way if I can. Let me know.
That'd be perfect. Thank you. I'll take you up on that offer.
All right. Let me know what I can do, because I've been doing the book thing for a while. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks,
We still have
Preston.
some time for some more questions. Let's see. Here's a good one from Namaste.
Okay.
Will Earth parents be reuniting and working together with their hybrid children? I think so.
I actually think that that's going to help everybody in our world anyway come to terms with this is really happening through genetics. If something comes down from up there and proves that I'm their parent, and it bonds me with them as well, I think
Right.
that's
It's a
the perfect
connection.
way.
Well, it's proof that we are connected. You can't
Yeah.
breed with another entity unless you're genetically the same, and that's proof that we're genetically doing that. And I have 4 children, and 2 of them, well, one of them absolutely came and helped me when I was in dire straits and did help me. And then the 2 are very young still, and then the other one is off doing very important work. So, but I know of him and what he's doing, and I know I will see him. It's not a question; it's a fact. I will. So,
Yeah.
and so will they. Yep.
Very cool. All right,
Yep.
let's
Wonderful.
move along. Oop, I pressed the wrong button. Hold on one second. Okay, this question is from Il Gatel, and I think that he asked this when you were describing being taken on board and you saw the beings and they're like, "Don't touch me, don't touch." Were they emanating light? The
No,
beings
not
on
that
the wall?
no, frankly, no. I did not think that they were Earthlings, even though they looked humanoid. That's why I said, "Where are you from?" And they just said they're travelers. So they probably weren't willing to tell me where they were from anyway. And maybe I wouldn't have understood anyway. But I knew that they were not human. Human,
Right.
but not human.
There are light beings that do emit light, but they're not third
Oh,
dimension.
yeah.
Outside this dimension, all the ETs that are in the third dimension with us do not emit light. They're like you and I, unless you could see auras and then you could see their energy. So,
Hey, which could be a thing.
Yeah.
All right. This one is from Morgan, and it's the same experience when you were being pulled up on board. He's asking, Rowan, weren't you terrified of heights after being so taken up on board? You look so tiny. Nothing painting you did. That would make me fear heights for life.
No, no. It's weird. I probably should have been terrified of heights, but I used to always climb on the roof and help Mum's old boyfriend from when I was younger. He used to install aerials. You remember aerials? Back
antennas, yeah.
Before digital. And I just used to love being up there, and it felt so free. Yeah, you'd think I would have been scared, but I don't know why. I'm
I
not
talked
scared.
to a contactee, Melinda Leslie. She had a fear of heights, and the ETs helped her get over it, actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Did little exercises to help her overcome her fear of heights. Acrophobia, I think it's called.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, you're probably right. Acrophobia. I'm not afraid of heights at all. Never have been.
Contactees are fearless, generally speaking. Once they get past that, because they've gone through these experiences and experienced such fear in the initial stages. At some point, I think they just I'm done with fear.
Yeah. And if a UFO lands, I probably will be running straight towards it. Everyone else will be running away. I'll be like running towards it. Hopefully it's safe.
Yeah. As long as it hasn't just landed and it's not glowing, I think you'll be fine. Give it a
And
chance to
hopefully it's
cool
not the
off.
US government or anything.
Wait for them to signal come close. Yeah,
Yeah,
seriously.
good idea.
Okay,
Wait for
here's
the
a
call.
question from Michael Kennedy, which honestly I don't know anything about. I'm gonna have to look this up. He's asking, does anyone know what all the ancient dodecahedrons found in archaeological sites are? I don't know.
They are examples of of the energy ball that I use over my head when I fly. It is the archaeological pictures of from the Babylonians, Assyrians, and all the way back, and they all got purses in their hands and they got a wristwatch on with a flower on it. Okay, the dodecahedron is inside there, but they also show what it looks like when it's really small, and those are examples of that. And when you energize them, they get really big. They get about the size of almost the size of a basketball, and they're weightless, mostly weightless. They can drop down, but they're mostly weightless, and they're energized, and inside them is an interdimensional electromagnetic field, and we fly with those, and we can open light gates with them and stuff like that. It's very cool. But that's what that is, Michael. And I know that somebody you know has seen one on board. So go ahead. All right. Cryptic, huh?
All right, hold on a second. I had to moderate something there. Doom, 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 doom. Okay, here is a question from John Schaefer's. Have you ever been on a craft in a round room, only one door exit, with other abductees sitting around like at a Starbucks, talking with each other? I've talked to people who've been in what we would call waiting rooms.
Yeah, I only remember loads of people on the ground when the craft, well, it was up in the sky and then it just comes straight down, straight, and everyone thinks it's going to smash into them, but it stops.
Yeah, I know.
Somehow we
but
get
they
on
do.
board. And like I
Yeah.
said, I never even knew there were triangular UFOs then when I was having all these dreams or experiences. And I'd just be saying, hey, don't worry, it's going to be fine. Everything's fine. You know, just doing that calming. And I've been a practice manager for medical centres now for 30 years. I'm not anymore. I'm an art therapist. But I think that equipped me to always look after people. And now I work with disability people. So I'm always accepting of whoever the other person is. But no, I don't remember being on craft with humans. I do remember just being on the ground with them and trying to calm them down and saying it's fine. Everyone just get on board. This sort of role.
Still very significant, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I think I'm dreaming. There's something that goes on. I think on there's other dimensions, and somehow, you know, to be completely honest, there must be other things. They're talking about space programs and secret space programs, and I reckon that there's other stuff going on.
No, there is no such thing. It's misinformation.
Oh,
There's
well, there you
no
go.
secret space programs. It's misinformation. It's absolutely They are building up to make people think that ETs are going to become a national security threat. And they're going to try to kill us. Okay, and they're working their way toward it right now. So yeah.
I think it's us who are responsible for just showing people that A, they exist, B, don't be scared of them. You know, C, maybe they've got things to offer us, ideas and you know, spirituality and you know what? There's other beings out there. Pardon? Sorry, Dawn.
You have to be ready to be taught, and we are nowhere near that right now.
That's true.
They're not going to help us because of that. And we've had over 100 years knowing that they existed. The governments of the world have known, and they've done absolutely nothing about it because they want to be given the answers to everything, like 2-year-olds who can't do it for themselves and they refuse and they throw a tantrum. We're those people, okay? And we can't do that. We can't technologically advance without morality, without knowledge, wisdom. All these things have to be in place before we start playing with fire for real. And they're not going to give it to us under those circumstances. We have to work our way up to that. And that means, we've got all this technological stuff and we've been stealing from them for years, but we do not have the ability to be without violence or to use it or weaponize or control people with it. That is not how they act. That is not their thing. And yet we're doing it. And they're like, nope, hands off, not touching you. You have to wake up.
We have like 5 or 10 more questions and 5 minutes to do it. 3. So let's see if we can. I think you already answered this one from CT Guitar Guy. Are you still being visited by ETs physically? You talked about your last one, right? Which was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, no, the answer is no. No, nothing, no. To be
That's your
honest,
clue that they're not here. Think about that. Seriously, consider what that means. They're not here.
It's been several years.
Yeah, if they were here, you would be visited.
Yahara Medium is asking, how did your experiences change your life direction?
Yeah, like I said, I have been in medical for the last 30 years, and now I still work with disability people. So it gives me just that sense that everyone is equal. I know that doesn't sound like much, but that's basically exactly what it's given me, and to not be terrified of something that looks different, even our own people. We're
Right.
scared of
That's a very
different
profound
race.
truth that you're living by. That's
Yeah,
what they want to see happen. They've helped you with that. We are
yeah.
supposed to be helping one another, no matter who we are, what we are, why we are. We're supposed to love one another unconditionally, love. And if and the
Exactly.
people who are around you need help, help. You know,
Yeah,
we're not supposed to
exactly.
be threatening or hating or doing any of that stuff. And it is a
No.
purpose. It's why we're here. So
And if we can just live by example, that's the best way. I remember there was one time in Parramatta in Sydney, a lady had been was laying at the train station, and thousands of people were just walking past her. And I saw her from the train several platforms over, and I ran to find her, and she'd been laying there all night. She was only young. She'd overdosed. Who would have known? She could have just had a diabetic fit. She could have had anything wrong with her.
right, she needed help.
And she was just getting ignored by the whole of
Humanity. Yeah.
I cried my eyes
Yeah,
out.
that's the
Forcing
kind of
people to come and help me.
that's no empathy whatsoever. Humanity's got to
No.
develop.
Yeah.
That's where your morality is. Your empathy has to.
They've done
Yeah.
experiments in that in New York City. People, they're fine, but they're laying out, pretending to
Yeah.
be passed out, and people are just stepping over them.
I know. It was
Finally, people will come and help. And I love that show that, what would you do? Because it does show a lot of people do have a heart, and they step in, will pay a person's bill or fix them in whatever way.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
There are a lot of good people out there. All right, we have time for one more question. Sorry, guys. There's going to be a few. If we didn't get your questions
Thanks, everyone.
early enough. This is from Deb. Dolly, when do they normally take a baby from a human?
It depends on the mother and her
3 months,
circumstances. It's
usually.
about
2 to 3 months.
16 weeks, 4 months is the cutoff. And when they do it, the entire the baby in the sac with the placenta is removed all at one time to protect the baby during transferring it. Okay, so it's still inside what it needs, and they are transferred to something to help keep them in the womb. What was in the womb of the mother. Okay, the placenta with the amniotic sac in the cord, and they'll pump nutrients through it, and they'll let it grow and grow and grow and grow after that. And they take the whole thing out at one time. And it's a pretty interesting way that it happens. So it's not a vaginal delivery at all. They can go put you into an interdimensional stasis and go in and medically remove that one part of where the baby's at and bring it out, and then put you back down where you were with no cutting, no nothing, no blood, no nothing. So you wake up and you go, what happened?
Yeah, I know a lady who lost theirs at 8 months. She used to run MUFON over here. 8 months.
Sometimes they let you go that long. I was 7 months for my first. I knew what I was doing. I was willingly giving this. And I was about 7 months at that point. And I'm one of those people that doesn't show pregnancy real early, and I made it to 7 months. So, before people started going, what's up?
All right. Well, we got to stop, you guys. We've reached the end of our show. Thank you so much, Ro, for coming on. Do you have any last words real quick?
Oh, no. Thank you, everybody around the world. I had no idea of our audience reach, and just so happy that I can help people. We can all help people in our own little way. And
you have a podcast? What's your podcast that you do?
I don't do that anymore. It was so exhausting because we were spending so much time, but it was called UFO Radio. So you can find that on Spotify. Okay. I think we only went for 8 weeks. Dolly, you were on it.
Yes, I was. Do you have an email that people can contact you, or can they find you on Messenger?
Show notes.
You can. Okay. Yes, it can. It's UFO Radio at proton.me. Is it Proton Mail or just
protonmail.me? Yeah. Okay.
UFO Radio. Okay. Thanks, everyone.
That was awesome. Thank you, guys. And I did have to moderate one of you guys in chat, so you guys got to play nice. So sorry for all you other folks who were telling me about him, but I had to kick you out. You guys got to play nice. But otherwise, you guys were awesome in chat, so thank you so much.
Very well.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep. You've been listening to the Light Gate at the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM out of New Orleans, and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM. We've been on Roku and Facebook and YouTube. I want you all to have a glorious, wonderful week. Stay cool. If you're not cool, find a place to go be cool. Do not put your life in danger. That's just very important to remember to do. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. We love you. And we'll see y'all later. Okay? Night, night.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay. You're coming on again. Okay? Okay.
Oh, yes.